You're listening to Glove Up or Shut Up on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Now, is there any coincidence, and we're going to transition to UFC this weekend, is there any coincidence that Cyborg and Rousey are defending their straps on the same weekend?
That's not a coincidence.
No?
No, it's not. They are purposefully setting up the idea in the eyes of fans that these are the two respective champions, and someday they're going to meet. They want you thinking about that.
Well, Rousey and Zingano for the bantamweight title. Zingano is probably, I hate to say it, but she's probably the biggest threat to Rousey so far. We say that every time. But, I mean, Zingano's got that will. She's got that, give me your best shot. I'll come back and take your best shot, and I'll kick your butt again. Like, she's got that desire, that will, that never give up attitude. And I don't think Rousey's going to win this fight in a minute, or it won't be. It'll be longer than a Vine video. How about that?
Yeah, I would go that far. It'll be longer than a Vine video, but I just have this feeling that Ronda Rousey, even against the second best woman in the world in her weight class, is still so far above the second best woman in the world that it's not even close.
Well, I'm going to go on a limb here.
You're picking Zingano in an upset. Do you want to know what the actual odds are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying in this past weekend with the huge upsets that we had, 11 of the 12 fights were upset wins. It's not out of the realm of possibility we could have one last big upset in a week.
All right. Well, this would be the biggest. This would be bigger than any of the big upsets because we had some 400 plus 500 underdogs on the last UFC card.
Sure.
But let me tell you this. Ronda Rousey is the minus 900 favorite as of the time we record this fight. So you're talking about a plus 600 dog on Kat Zingano if you want to place that bet. You're talking one hell of an underdog bet.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'll go Zingano on this one.
All right, I'm sticking with the champ. Until you beat the champ, you are the champ. I said it about Emmanuel Newton. I'm saying it about her.
What about Holly Holm and Raquel Pennington?
Equally long odds on this one.
Yeah.
Holm is the minus 900 favorite.
I don't have as much faith in Pennington as I do Zingano. I'm going to go with Holm on this one.
Yeah, Holm is a world-renowned boxer long before her MMA days, and that striking power, they want her to beat Raquel Pennington. Let's not make any bones about this. They want to do Holm versus Rousey. They are hoping for that.
Yeah, it's.
They signed Holly Holm just to eventually line her up with Rousey. That's the whole reason she's in UFC right now.
It will be a bad day for Pennington. I don't see Pennington win this fight at all.
Pennington has to really pull a rabbit out of the hat.
Yeah.
Something spectacular and amazing. She has to pull off, let's throw something out there just for example's sake. She has to dive for a leg like Husmar Palhares and get a quick knee bar. That would be the only way.
All right, in what I'm going to call a loser leaves UFC fight, Jake Ellenberger and Josh Koscheck.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, this one's kind of a coin flip with the odds makers. Ellenberger is a small favorite at minus 210. The comeback on Koscheck is plus 175.
I see Ellenberger winning here.
Yeah, I think it's about time for Ellenberger's skid to end. I think this will be the fight where he redeems himself.
Does Koscheck go to Fox Sports and become a UFC insider?
He's pretty much been angling to be an analyst or a commentator. He's done it several times already. I think that's the right transition for him at this point in his career. He had a good run.
Many shows.
I know, so many shows, but there's a point at which even knowing that you could be a body on a card because they could use you doesn't justify the fact that you're going to get beat up again.
Well, no, that's not my point. My point is there's so many shows that are going to need more commentators.
Well, that too, but I'm just saying he doesn't want to be the guy that gets beat up by every single fighter that's up and coming in his weight class, and that's pretty much the role he's been playing. He's been cannon fodder for Hendricks, Lawler, and Woodley, so I think Koscheck needs to reevaluate what he's doing and just switch to the announce desk.
Do you think he's like the Stephan Bonner right now? Like the gatekeeper status?
Well, you know what? Even Stephan Bonner got a main event in Bellator, so... you know what? He could always, if he wanted to play his luck elsewhere, I'm sure he could be a main event for somebody. But I'm just arguing that Koscheck had his time, he had his good run, and that run is over.
Alan Joubain against Richard Walsh.
Joubain is the favorite in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Minus 450. He's a pretty heavy favorite.
Yeah, I don't see Walsh winning this one.
You know, you said before there are certain fighters you shouldn't underestimate. And I will say this. Maybe Richard Walsh isn't that well known because he was on Tough Nations, which other than you and me, I don't think a lot of people watched it. Mm-hmm. And maybe he did lose a split decision to Kichi Kunamoto that really didn't do him any favors.
Nope.
But when you consider he's got one hell of a punch if he can land it. And we saw samples of that on Tough Nations. We saw he was a tough guy. We saw everybody else feared and respected him. All his fellow Aussies all thought he was the shit. I wouldn't say that he can't do it to Joubain. The odds makers say no. You say no, and I'm not going to pick him. But I'm saying he is a tough, durable fighter who a lot of people are probably sleeping on just because they haven't seen that much of him. So I would not count Filthy Rich out in a fight.
And wrapping up the main card on pay-per-view, Tony Ferguson against Gleison Tibau.
El Kukui. One of the weirdest nicknames in all of MMA as far as I'm concerned.
There's a few out there. It's pretty weird.
Yeah. Well, he is the minus 220 favorite over Tibau.
Well,
I'm going to go with El Kukui in this one because, Tibau looks physically impressive every time you see him. He's got muscles on his muscles. But Tony Ferguson has something that even Gleison Tibau has to respect. One-punch knockout power.
Yeah, I got Ferguson in this one as well. I'm always been a fan of his fights, so I'm looking forward to that kicking off the pay-per-view. It could really set the tone.
Yeah, well, speaking of things that will really set the tone, Mark Munoz and Juan Carnero in the main event of the FS1 card, that should be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, I like Salazar and Yamamoto as well.
Yeah.
I know, it's a hardcore fight, but I like it.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that fight. It's just... This is really the time where Mark Munoz has to, if he wants to still be a force in the UFC, he has to get this win because it's been a while now since he's been considered a contender in his weight class, and they're giving him a guy who's not a pushover. This is a guy who won the welterweight tournament in Battlegrounds MMA. You can't just get by Juan Carnero without a fight.
Diego Lima against Tim Means, that could surprise some people.
Yeah. Dirty Bird Tim Means has got a good reputation, and Diego Lima acquitted himself well on Ultimate Fighter and didn't end up winning, but he was in the hunt there right up to the finale. So we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, I mean, even the prelims on Fight Night with James Krause and Valmir Lazaro. I mean, Krause is on a prelim for Fight Night.
You said Fight Night, you mean Fight Pass?
Oh, Fight Pass. Sorry, it's been a long day.
No, it's okay. I think actually the other fight that I'm really looking forward to the most is the Black Beast, Derek Lewis versus Juan Potts.
Yeah, that looks good too. But, it's going to be a great pay-per-view on Saturday. Definitely, you don't want to sleep on this show. It's at the Staples Center in L.A., home of the Lakers, which doesn't mean much this year. But still, it's a good venue. You know what's bad when Nicholson's like, hey, I'm going to sell my seats.
Yeah. Well, did he actually say that, or are you just making that joke?
He's actually said that he's going to sell his seats.
Wow. That's betrayal right there. He is a fixture at courtside.
Yeah.
That's like, when you picture the Lakers, you picture the sunglasses and the receding hairline and him sitting there at courtside.
I think he's just done with the basketball in general, not just the Lakers. I think he's just done.
Well, that could be. Maybe he's just getting too old for that shit.
All right, let's do some news real quick. UFC on Fox 15, April 18th in New Jersey. Diego Brando against Jimmy Hedges has been added to the card. And remember, the main event is Machida and Rockhold.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's going to be it. Finally get to see this fight. This fight was scrapped last minute last time, so we're going to take two.
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't get scrapped again, right?
Exactly. UFC Fight Night 65, May the 10th in Australia. Steve Miocic and Mark Hunt, the main event. A new fight's been added with Hatsu Hiyoki against Daniel Hooker.
Oh, okay. That'll be a good show.
Let's see. May 23rd, the Big Vegas show with a triple main event. John Jones and Anthony Rumble Johnson in the main. John Dodson and Makovsky has been added to that card.
Yep, Zach Funsize Makovsky.
Which, talk about stacking the stack card. This is a great show, and they're just making it greater.
That's true.